Go. Okay. Well, good morning to everyone. Thank you so much for your patience while we untangled the tech. That's part of our new world as business owners, is embracing technology, because it's part of what we do and part of everything we do as business owners. I created this course as an introduction for small business owners and entrepreneurs to get a feel for what exactly you need to do to have an online presence. So it's called Launch, and there's a series of information that goes with this that I'll share at the end of the session, just to give you a little bit more background on me and where I came from. And back in 1998, I went to work for an internet service provider, an ISP. They were a startup in the Woodlands, and they helped build or lay internet lines all over the United States, in Mexico and Canada. And so I really got a lot of hands-on knowledge and information about how the internet works. And then we went on to sell those services to businesses. So we had clients like Victoria's Secret, MTV, complete cities. The city of Houston would put their whole internet presence on our servers. So it was a lot of information all at once, and we're still kind of in that bubble of technology, and it's just never going to stop. So we have to start somewhere. And so my goal here is to make sure that you are prepared for what you need to have to be successful as an entrepreneur. As Ken mentioned, I worked as an area local expert for Constant Contact about 10 years ago, and I would go around Houston and give talks about how to use Constant Contact and why a business needs to have an automation tool like Constant Contact. It used to be just email marketing, but now it's a whole business, a whole suite of business tools that you can use to market your business. Okay. So I like to ask this question because this is really the absolutely most important question that we have as business owners to ask ourselves. So why are we here? We're here today because we want to learn something that we feel like we need to know more about. The reason why I'm here is because I want to help you stay in business. If you haven't started your business yet, there's a lot you need to know. If you have already started a business and you really need help implementing technology, that's part of what we need to know. So the reason why I'm in business is because I want you to be successful. I want you to create success stories for yourself. And the only way you're going to do that is if you continue to learn things. So I put up some really daunting statistics about the failure rates of businesses, and it's not to scare you or discourage you, but it's to give you a reality check. What exactly, what is the goal? Sorry, Hall. So 34% of small businesses fail to have the proper product market fit. So if you come to the point where you're saying, okay, I'm ready to market my business, and you don't know who your market is, and you don't know who you're marketing to, that's a big problem. So you could be spending a lot of money on things like a website and advertising and giving your time and effort into something that's never going to work because you don't know who you're selling to. And then a lot of startups just don't have a marketing strategy. and that really starts with the business plan. A lot of companies start out without any kind of a plan, any kind of a roadmap for how to do business. There's so many things in a business plan that you have to consider. And a business plan isn't just for taking your idea or your business to the bank and saying, I want a loan. I need to finance my business. And so here's what it's all about. And they're going to ask you for a business plan. A business plan is something intentional that you do, and it's your roadmap to success. So you have to make a lot of considerations before you start your business. And the business plan just walks you through the things that you need to consider. So I had people come to me and say, I'm starting a company and, I've ordered some business cards. Here's my logo and I need a website. Well, if you haven't done a business plan, then you're not ready for me yet. That was the polite way for me to tell people that, they haven't done the necessary work needed to get their business started in the right ways. So I wrote a book called Launch with Innovate, and we'll talk about that at the end of the session as well. The book is really just about how to introduce yourself to all of the things that you need to know about technology wise. So planning, sustaining, and growing your business in a digital world. Our world is digital. There's no more paper in our world. It's all on the internet. There's very few companies investing in doing magazine ads and direct mailings and putting an ad in what was once the yellow pages. Nobody does that anymore. It's all online. So I'm asking you as business owners, what's motivating you to go into business? Because I will tell you that you have to remember this, because you're going to have some really dark days as a business owner. And if you don't have a strong why, you're going to give up. You're going to throw in the towel. And those statistics that I just showed you are kind of those people that really didn't prepare well. So the biggest thing that I think you should do is write down what your why is. Maybe you have a product or service that you think is absolutely going to change the world and that everybody should know about it. So that could be your why. You have a family and you want to spend more quality time with your family. So you believe starting a business is going to give you those freedoms. That could be your why. There's a lot of reasons why, but your why has to be so strong that whoever the stakeholders are in your life have to support it. So in my personal life, I lost a job and I said to my partner, I'm going to start a business. And they were like, I think you should just go get a job because it's so much easier and we can count on that income. But I had a really strong why. And it took me through the 11 years now that I've been in business. And I was able to go back to them and say, no, I have a strong why. I'm never going to go back to what I was doing before because I believe in this. This is so strong for me that it's going to be a game changer for us. So there were times where the possibility of going back to work seemed like it might be a reality for me, but I stood strong with my why. So that's something that a lot of us don't really consider as part of a business plan, but it really should be part of it. So I'm walking you through some of the really basic tenets of marketing with what we're going to talk about today. There's so many things to consider. There's so many layers. If you could just master these 6 things, you'll be far ahead of everybody else, because these are the basics. These are the things that create your strategy. So we have to have a strategy. You have to write it down. You have to know where you're going to keep your information. You have to know how to talk to people. And you've got to know what social media is and why we use it and how to use it. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Again, the book that I have available will go through in depth a lot of these things for you that we touch upon today. It's just a guidebook on what things you should consider as a business owner. So it's my roadmap for you on what you need to know. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is personal branding. And personal branding is basically just, who am I online? A lot of us have spent a lot of time and effort on promoting ourselves and putting ourselves online so that others can find us. But some of us are not there yet. Some of us have not embraced using online tools, and you don't have an online persona. So we want to talk about personal branding and what that means. So it's super important for you. This is part of the why stuff that we were just talking about, to have visions and values and passions and goals for yourself, because the people that buy into your company or your stakeholders, your family, the people that matter to you are going to want to know that you have those things and that you're coming out of the chute with a lot going for yourself. You have to be strong in your personal beliefs and know who you are before you can sell yourself to others. And basically marketing is just getting somebody to do something that you want them to do, whether it's follow you, buy something, read something, whatever it is you want them to do. You have to project strong vision, value, passions, and goals, because that's what people want to know about you. Who are you? What makes you tick? Why would I follow you? What is it about you that makes you valuable to me? So it's really important to have those things mapped out for yourself. So there's a lot of talk about search engines and search engine optimization. And search engines are basically just content management systems. You'll hear that acronym CMS. So a content management system is basically just where your information is being stored. And so Google goes out onto the internet and looks for information. When somebody puts a question into the search bar on Google, it's Google's job to go out and look for the answers to the question that you're asking. And there's tons and tons of criteria that Google uses to select that information. There's a sea of information out there, and Google has to be able to find you online, find your business online, and you have to make it easy for Google. So there's a lot to be said about search engine optimization. And so if you are similar to me in age, you might have started out on the internet using the Yahoo search engine, because that was one of the first search engines that was ever out there. And so if you have a Yahoo email address, then I can probably date your internet experience. Most people these days are leaning towards, or they are going to Google, because Google kind of came into the internet by doing things that nobody else was doing. They created a suite of business tools and just gave them away. So all the small business owners and educators and all of those people who needed to have some software like a word processing program, a spreadsheet program, a way to make forms, all of these things Google put into a business suite and made them available for free. So companies like Microsoft who were selling software, they lost market share because of Google. So everybody on the internet migrated to Google, and that's just why Google is where it is today as the most popular globally, the most popular search engine. The second search engine that people use is Bing. I guess Bing comes with some computers, and that's why people use it, but it's just how people look for information and why Google matters. This is what I'm trying to tell you. So having a Google account is really important. If you don't have one, it would be a good idea to get one, because there's certain things that you can access if you just simply have a Google email address. So we can talk about that later on in the presentation of what's available out there. But you can see why it's important to be visible to Google. So how many of you have ever Googled yourself? Typed your name into the search bar and hit go. What comes up? That's the big question that we need to be asking ourselves right now. Some of you may be at the point where you don't have an online presence and you don't really know where to start. But I can tell you that if you have a LinkedIn, a Facebook, and an Instagram, and a YouTube, those 4 things are going to pull up first when someone searches for you. In my case, I pull up first on LinkedIn. I've been on LinkedIn since 2008. LinkedIn has exploded in growth. And it's really important for business owners to have a LinkedIn account because it gives you a place to put information about yourself, about who you are professionally, and maybe some of your education and experience. So LinkedIn is super, super important. Next, you see I have an IMDb account, which is something that filmmakers use in Hollywood. I actually am associate producer for a documentary film. And so my IMDb profile comes up next. And then you see Instagram and Facebook. So while you think, my business really isn't something that I think is translatable to Facebook or translatable to Instagram, you just have to know that the people that you're looking for are on those platforms. So whether you are really big into those platforms or not, you have to know about them, and you have to know why people use them, what motivates them to be on those platforms, and then how businesses use them. So if you have a LinkedIn profile, you should have at least these things completely filled out and extremely polished. That's the word I was looking for, polished. So an intentional headshot is something that we want to have maybe go to we have a photographer that we can have take a picture of us, or a lot of business like chambers of commerce will have headshot events or whatever. Just make sure that your headshot is current and it projects who you are today, and that you're giving a persona to your audience of who you are in a physical form. And then the next box underneath my name is the two lines that show up on the internet when somebody searches you and you come up on LinkedIn. So this is a really important pitch, is what I call it. It's a pitch for maybe how someone will come across your profile and want to know more about you. There's also a verification process where you can see that little shield with the checkbox. The verification process is just basically providing them with a copy of your driver's license and some other stuff to validate that you're a real person, because there's a lot of fake accounts out there. So it's really a good idea to get verified. The next thing that I see a lot of people make mistakes on is their contact information. So not having a phone number, not having an email address, not having a way for people to get in touch with you is counterproductive to, you know, being in business. Make sure that you have contact information that works. So people change jobs. That's why they ask you for a personal email. So when I open my LinkedIn account, I use my Gmail account because people move from job to job. Those emails have a tendency to not work once you've left that company. So they keep your personal contact information in there, or you keep up with it. Make sure you're keeping up with your own information. And my company is considered a business to business company. So I'm a service business. I provide a service to other businesses, a B2B. So LinkedIn is absolutely where I want to be, because LinkedIn is where other business owners are, and LinkedIn is where companies are that I might want to do business with. So I make sure that my LinkedIn profile is up to date. And I also have ways to look and see who might be looking at me and who might be asking me to join their network. And there's also another app called Sales Navigator that if you're in a business where you're doing some personal selling, it's a place where you can keep information about prospects. So we'll also talk more about that. Where do we keep that information? Okay. So when I was talking about making sure you have an intentional headshot, these are two examples of terrible headshots. So I've seen people put pictures of themselves in their wedding dress, you know, full on wedding dress. I've seen a guy holding a fish, you know, like he just caught this trophy fish. I've seen some crazy profile pictures. So you definitely need to have an intentional picture of yourself on LinkedIn. And I have a friend, a former client, that put a picture of himself riding his he's into riding bicycles. So, you know, he has himself in all of his bike gear, and, you know, talks about himself in the persona of, I'm this crazy, you know, competitive biker. I compete in this sport, and it has absolutely nothing to do with his company. So it's super confusing when you look at this person's profile to know really what he does. So you have to be really intentional, again, that word intentional, about what you project out there. Don't cut yourself out of a picture with you and your ex. Even though you look fabulous, you still need to get a picture, an intentional headshot, so that people know that you're serious about yourself as a professional and yourself in business. So this particular exercise was to show you that LinkedIn is a platform that you should be on for lots of different reasons. whether you're looking for a job, whether you're starting a company. It's just a great place for people to find other business professionals, and it's a great place to get validated. So you definitely want to have a LinkedIn profile. There's also a lot of training and teaching done on LinkedIn for business owners. So it's a great resource for learning business things. They have groups, they have CEO groups, they have entrepreneur groups, they have small business groups. So LinkedIn is just a great resource. And it's also a great place to just have your contact information. Make sure your profile is up to date. We talked about the photo. And what having a great LinkedIn profile could potentially do for your business. When I first started out in business, that was where I went. I went to LinkedIn and connected with as many people as I could, really randomly, without giving it a whole lot of thought, until I learned over the years that there really should be some kind of strategy involved with who you connect with on LinkedIn. So that's a whole nother webinar. But definitely you want to learn how to connect with people in the right ways. Number 5, you must have a website. At some point in time, you've got to have a website. If you have a legitimate company, if you've taken out a DBA or done an LLC, you're really on the path of having to have that website. It's like having a brick and mortar, having that physical location. Everybody that has a business should have a website. And then number 6 is you must have a Google business listing. And we'll talk about how to do that later, how to make one. But we talked earlier about how Google looks for things. And so having a business listing on Google is like being listed in the yellow pages. So, but you have to intentionally do it. You have to intentionally create the business listing. And there is a verification process. So they know that you're a legitimate business, and then they'll put you into their search engine so people can find your business. So in the book, there's a bunch of discovery exercises about, who you are as a professional, who you are as a person. And I take that really seriously. Once you do this a few times, you'll really realize the value of knowing those keywords that identify you. To yourself and to others. So I think it's important to be sure that we have a good handle on who we are as professionals before we even put a shingle out to announce that we're in business. So the next thing that we're going to talk about is organization branding strategy. And that's basically what your business looks like online. As you can tell, there's definitely some things that we need to consider before we start creating the website, before we do a logo, before we pick colors we like. All these things have some relevance with branding. So you can definitely hit or miss with branding. And it's really important for you to know the things that are important when it comes to branding. So the first thing that you want to do is be cohesive. So like we talked about with our personal brand, we want to look together. We want our company to look together. We definitely want to know who our target audience is, because your branding is going to be targeted to your target audience. So say your target audience is women. That's very broad, but I'm just saying, you're going to have colors and a logo, and, are women professionals. So you're going to have colors and a logo and things that are attractive and eye-catching to your particular target audience. So you want to make sure that you're doing something, that you're coloring within the lines for your target audience. You want to pick and focus on your personality online. You can be one thing in your personal professional life, and you can project something else with your business. So those are two intentional choices, but they are intentional. You have to learn, how to project the company to other people, and that requires having your company have some personality. You want to choose the look of your brand. I think all of you can see that this pink that I'm wearing is my brand color. It's in my logo, it's in my PowerPoint. So, when people see that, they can associate that with me and associate that with my company. So I think it's really important to do those little subtle things to help bring yourself to your brand and make sure your brand looks cohesive. A lot of people come to me at the very beginning of their business and they haven't designed a logo yet. And so you can either make a logo yourself, get on Canva and create a logo, or you can hire someone to do it for you. You don't have to be an artist to design a logo, but you have to be intentional. So we want to make sure that whatever it is you decide on, that it speaks without words to your audience. And then you want to apply this branding across your entire business. So there's brands we know that we can see their logo and we know everything about them. So branding online is just basically your website and your social media. So you have a website, your website should be connected to your social media accounts. Your social media accounts and your website should point people to ways to opt into your communications. So your online stuff has to work for you, and making sure you know what you're doing with your website and social media is super important when it comes to putting your business online. So I just put some, for instance, examples in here. Everybody on this webinar, I'm sure, knows whose logo this is and what it represents. The same thing with this logo. Everyone knows what this logo is and what it represents. So you have to strongly think. There's a lot of companies out there now that will, I was trying to think of one that maybe was not really the Bombas socks. That's what I was trying to think of, the Bombas socks. So like, what is a Bomba? And but they had a pitch. They had a buy a pair of socks from us and we'll give a pair away. So it's just whatever it is you start out with, you stick with and stay consistent with. And even if your logo like this, who knows what this was before Amazon was a thing, right? But they've kept that consistently over the 30 years that they've been a brand, and we all know what it is. So your logo is a really big, important part of your business. So I work with a number of organizations, and I work with this particular organization. They're a National Federation of Business and Professional Women's Clubs. They're a 103-year-old organization for professional women. And when I came to them initially, I helped them do some conferences and some online events, and they asked me to help them and join their board. So I did that. In doing so, I helped them create cohesive branding, because they had this logo. You can see the logo down at the bottom. That logo is 103 years old, and I look at it and I know the colors, but I have no idea what those things are in the logo. So it was really important for us to refresh the brand and bring them to relevancy and bring them current. So we've created some new things for them. And one of those things was creating a color palette and creating um, a consistent type style to use, um, so that everybody in the organization, no matter what state they were in, no matter where they were, knew what colors the organization used for branding. And so we put out what this is called a brand guide. And I can give this to somebody who's going to work on my advertising. I can give this to somebody who's going to work on my website or to make graphic designs for me. These are the colors, the type styles, and the logo that they have to use in order to stay consistent with my brand. So online colors have what's called a hex code, and it's just a number that represents that code, but that's what the digital world understands. So you can work with someone who understands digital graphics, and they can help you bring together your colors and all of the things that you need to have in order to share your brand with the world. So that's a color palette. There's a lot of other things that we've done for them. We've created a PowerPoint that was branded to the organization. We created pamphlets and all kinds of things that are digital, but they all look the same now. And when someone gets that information, they know where it came from. So I wanted to bring this up as an example as well. Some of you may have companies already and you may have your branding done. And over time, like myself, I started out as Innovate Social Media. And really and truly, I do so much more than just social media. I do websites, I do, newsletters, I write content for websites. So all of that morphed for me into interactive digital media. So I changed my brand probably about maybe 4 years ago, from Innovate Social Media to Innovate Social and Interactive Digital Media Marketing. So it's kind of a lot, but social media was creating confusion for people who were trying to understand what I did, how I could help them. So this particular rebrand, in my opinion, was an epic fail. This is the Twitter bird, and Twitter was purchased in 2023 by Elon Musk, and he had the brainstorm of changing the brand completely. And so Twitter is now called X. I can't explain it. The cost to just rebrand everything, to change the bird to an X on every website, on everything digital, is, in my opinion, a terrible mistake. That company built themselves up over lots of years, had lots of brand authority with their Twitter bird. So, I mean, you can see a blue bird consecutively get, changing over time, but going from the bird to an X makes no sense to me. So, you have to really think about, if you rebrand, what that's going to look like and what that's going to do to your brand. So, you definitely want to rethink that. So now that you know how to look online, what do you say to attract an audience? So this is my next big question, my big ask for you is, who is your target audience? Because certainly my target audience is not everybody that owns a business, right? People are going to be in different places in their journey of being a business. And so I need to know who my low-hanging fruit is, who the most likely individuals are that are going to need my services. That's who I'm going to focus on. I'm going to create three personas, and we're going to get into that, but we're going to create like, persona number one is a CEO with, a company that's making $50 million a year or less, has 200 employees, lives in, or the headquarters is in Houston. That's one persona that I can have. And then you can build on that with a couple more personas of people that you think would be your most receptive prospect to your messaging. So we're not going to just put it out there. We have to target who we want to talk to. You have to know where your prospects hang out. So I have clients that are just in the complete belief that they are not social media candidates, that their business is not something that they should be projecting on social media. And I have big disagreements with them because of just the sheer numbers of who's on social media. So social media is just a method of communication, and finding where your prospects are, where they hang out, if they're in groups on Facebook, if they're in groups on LinkedIn, you can target those groups. Where are they? You have to find them. You have to identify them, and you have to go find them. So I'm sure everybody here has heard the coined term elevator speech. An elevator speech is just basically something, a sentence that describes your business in a nutshell. Supposedly you're on an elevator with someone and they ask you what you do, and the time you get from the first floor to the 10th floor, you have that opportunity to tell them or sell your business to them. So the elevator speech is just another way of saying you're positioning yourself in the market. So it would take some intentional writing this out. So this is a format I gave for how you get started on an elevator speech. And you don't want it to be 10 paragraphs long. You just want it to be simple. So we offer this product or service for this target market to bring value to this. And unlike my competitor, we're different because of this. So that's the basis for creating your positioning statement. And that's the driver for who that positioning statement projects to. So finding your target audience and then telling them about yourself in a quick 1 second, 2 second, 3 second way of an introduction is super important. In social media, when I first started out, they said we have the attention span. A goldfish has an attention span of 9 seconds, and people have an attention span of 8 seconds. So I used to tell people that all the time. So we have less of an attention span than a goldfish. And in actuality, in reality, it's now measured in 1, 2, 3 seconds. So Google has a 3-second rule for whether or not you're engaged with that brand or not. So if you land on something on a Google, it's called a SERP page, a search engine results page, and you spend time, you click on something, you go to their website, and you stay there for 3 seconds or more, that meant you were engaged. So that's why we have to get people hooked quickly, very, very quickly. And you can't be confusing. You have to know who you are and how to project that to other people in a very quick way. So as we talk about business branding, that's just basically how people remember us. And again, it has to be consistent. It has to be intentional. It has to be relevant. It has to be exciting and engaging. All of those things are in the Google algorithms. How many people stay with your site, go to your site, engage with your site or your social media? Do you get likes, comments, and shares? All of those are part of the algorithm. So Google will show up or show people more of those things that it sees having the most relevance and engagement. And that's the key to everything you do on digital marketing with digital marketing. So we talked earlier about Google and why we need to be on Google. And this is the thing that you have to do or figure out or have someone help you do. And that is start a business profile for yourself. You can do one on Bing, you can do one on Yahoo, you can do one on all the search engines, but you have to do one on Google. And this is the link here. It's just google.com/business. And it will take you to a way to register your business. So once you do that, you go through a fill in the blanks prompted questions about your business, and it asks you for information, pictures, your hours of operation, if you have a location, where you're located, your phone number, all of those things. And most importantly, it gives people an opportunity to see if you have any reviews. So having some Google reviews is absolutely another thing that the algorithms look for. If you have no reviews, if you have no Google profile, Google's going to find those businesses with a profile and with reviews to serve up to people who are looking for a social media company or a website designer. And they also do it by location. So there's tons and tons of information that you have to be intentional with. And this is one of them, setting up your Google business profile. If you take out a DBA or an LLC, you're going to start getting calls, random, robo dial calls from people saying, we'll do a Google business listing for you for $250. Don't hang up the phone. It's free. This doesn't cost anything, and it's the most important thing you can do for your business. If you Google your business and you see a profile and it's not one that you did or it has misinformation, you got to work on seeing if you can get that corrected. So it's kind of a hassle if something's already created, but you can go in, and if someone else created it, say maybe you work for a business and someone else created the Google business profile and you no longer have access to it, you can ask Google for access to it. So I had a doctor that's a client, and someone else created his Google profile, and so I had to go through the process of asking Google to have access to it. And then they asked the person who started the page or started the listing, and that person didn't respond. So Google gave it to me. So there's things you can do if you know how to do them. And so look at this, look at the Google business profile. And if you need help with it, you can ask me on my website or ask me on my social media, and I will be happy to help you. The next big thing, and I'm trying to see if we wanted to take a 5-minute break or if we want to keep going here. I don't know who can, I guess we're going to just keep going, but I'm going to ask at the end of the session that we'll have a Q&A. So if you have questions, I'm happy to answer them at that time. But we're going to go into the customer relationship management section of this presentation, because this is the holy grail of what you need to do with those contacts that you have in your world. So people that you get their email address, you get their phone number, you meet them at a networking event, you have a sign up for an event, and they have to give contact information. So you go to a networking event, you get business cards. What do you do with that information once you get it? You have to have a place to put it. So CRM software, or customer relationship management software, is super important. And that's one thing that Constant Contact is it's a CRM along with an email marketing program. So that's one way that you can manage your contacts. So if you're over 50 years old, you might know what this is. And it's called a Rolodex. And as a young person in college, I worked as an administrative assistant, and this was how we managed our data. So we wrote people's names on these little cards, and we put them in alphabetical order, and we spun it around when we needed to find one. So that is a really antiquated way to do business, and we have gone far beyond that now with all the technology that we have. So I'm just putting it up there to remind us how far we've come since the Rolodex, and it hasn't been that long. If you go to networking events, the whole idea is to hand out business cards and to get business cards back, right? So that you meet people who might be interested in your products and services. What do you do with those business cards when you come back to the office? I used to have a top drawer of my desk, and it had probably 500 business cards in it, because I would get home from a networking event, get busy again, and throw the cards in my desk and never look at them again. And that is a horrible business practice. So we want to make sure that whatever we're doing, that we're keeping track of those contacts and making sure they opt into our online messaging and our email marketing and all those things. I have a client who he's a high-end remodeling contractor. And when I first started doing business with him, I said, what, do you have a list of your former clients and their email addresses? And he was like, no, I don't have a list of my former clients and their email addresses. He did everything on paper and phone calls. And it was like, at almost retirement age, he was starting from scratch with how to market his business. And let me tell you, when you get to that point, it's almost too late. You've got to do this from the very beginning and be very diligent about keeping your contact information in a place where you can access it again. You're always going to want to go back to that. And a little hint I have too is when you get a business card, you can write on the back of it the date where you met that person and maybe something about them, so that when you do get an opportunity to put it into your contact database, you have more than just their name and phone number. You have information about, maybe it will trigger what you talked about with that person, or something that will be engaging to them if you were to ever call them or ask them to do business with you. So going from your CRM to email marketing is the most important thing that you can do as a business. Having a contact database is one thing. Being able to talk to those contacts is another thing. And with email marketing, people opt into your communications. They say, I'm opting into this communication because I want to know your business. I want to know more about you. I expect to hear from you. If you're not doing this, then you could be potentially breaking the law. Commercial businesses and email and text messaging now are regulated by the Federal Trade Commission. And you have to have a process where people opt into your mailing list, or you really it's illegal to communicate with them with marketing messaging, and it's a very strict law. There's high fines if you break them. There's lots of loopholes and things you can get around to doing getting mailing lists and things like that. But in the end, the best contact you can ever have is someone that says, yes, I want to know more about you. And it might be just something brief. They're on social media, they're at an event, there's a way for them to opt into your communications. So you need to take advantage of that. And having an email marketing program is necessary. So there's statistics, right? So there's a key performance indicator called ROI, return on investment. So for every dollar you spend on email marketing, it gives you a return of $41. So in ad speak or in marketing, that is the highest return, even higher than running a Google ad. And it's because you've built this audience of people that want to know you. So you have an audience of people that want to hear from you, and it gives you the opportunity to grow that audience. And with constant contact, they have ways for people to share their email messages. So they get an email from you, and maybe it has something in it that somebody wants to share with their sister or their brother or somebody. There's a way with that constant contact email to share it with somebody. That's the key to building your contact database, is to have it be easy for people to get access to. And the whole point of having a contact database is so that you can send them direct messages for wherever it is you want them to do. So we call these lead funnels, and we're going to talk about what a lead funnel is. And basically, it's taking those leads that you have, taking those contacts, breaking them into groups, and sending them messaging that is very relevant to that person. So if I have all my clients who are doctors, I'm going to have all them in a mailing list within my email marketing program. If I have clients who are lawyers, I'm going to have them in a list in my email marketing program, because I'm not going to say the same message to a doctor that I am to a lawyer. So you have to be able to be intentional with your messaging and know who's getting it. So back when I went to college, they called this a sales funnel. You'll hear a lead funnel, a sales pipeline. All of these things are how to get your brand out there, how to get leads, how to make leads prospects, and then marketing to those qualified leads, making sales, and more and more. And so getting a customer would be the end result. So basically it was cast a wide net, buy an ad in a newspaper, buy a Yellow Pages ad, whatever, get your business out there everywhere, right? And slowly people will enter into your business world in some way. So you've captured a lead, the lead becomes a prospect, et cetera, et cetera. And we're going to go over how that works in detail. The thing about social media is it turned the lead funnel upside down. It is now, instead of a many-to-one experience, it's a one-to-many experience. So if I have an experience with your brand and it is just mind-blowingly excellent, I'm going to tell somebody about it. And maybe that person will tell somebody else, and so on and so on. So you see the power of social media marketing is not just I'm talking to one person. It is I'm talking to a bunch of people all at once. And hopefully, if I've done my homework, I'm talking to people that are kind of like each other, or they have the same goals and ambitions, or they want the same things. And I'm offering what that person wants. and they've experienced that with me and my brand. And so they're going to tell everybody they know. That's how it works. That's social media. So this is like a cheat sheet from anything you could possibly want to do online marketing, where it comes from, where it goes. We've talked about some of this. In the first column is the foundation. The foundation of your business marketing is going to be the personas or the markets. So we talked about that in the beginning of the presentation, was who we are and who's our target market. So we want to know who our buyer personas are, where they're hanging out, and who our competitors are, and if they're in the same place as we are. We got to have a strategy. We got to have branding. We got to have benefits, the selling proposition that we just talked about, and messaging that aligns with those propositions. And then we want to have a way of building value, and we create something called the value ladder. So it gives us the ability to take something, make people pay for it, get something back in return, and then if we're lucky, we get to scale our business, which means we grow. So again, the persona, the strategy, and the value ladder. Who's your target market? Where are they? Who's competing for their attention? Everyone's competing for their attention. You have got to make yourself stand out. The strategy, is your branding cohesive? The what's in it for them question. Nobody's going to talk to you unless you have something for them, period. They're not going to talk to you because they think you're a nice person. They're not going to talk to you because, they heard something, about your business from, something irrelevant. They're gonna talk to you if they think there's something in it for them that they want. And that's what we're creating with marketing. And then the value ladder again, the monetization, the positive ROI, and is this scalable? That's the hardest thing that I've had to do with my own personal business, is to scale it. How do I grow? I'm just one person with one brain. How do I make my business available to as many people that wants it, have it? How do I market that? How do I make that available to people? So that's the place I'm at right now, is scaling my business. So we talked about traffic. Where are people coming from? They're coming from social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, all of those places. People are on them. If you know somebody who's got some influence on social media, get them to talk about you. That there's people that get paid to do that stuff. Even if you have just 5,000 followers on Facebook, you could potentially be a spokesperson for a brand, because they want your influence. They want your market. You're aligning with their brand. What is it about me that is going to get influence with you? So it's really great if you can, like, if you're having an event, right? And you have the option of having a speaker who has no social media, has, nothing going on digitally, or you have someone that has 10,000 followers, I'm going to pick the one with 10,000 followers. The same with a business. I have a client who, the business is over 30 years old. They didn't do anything with digital marketing or social media until about 3 years ago. They started at ground zero 3 years ago with their brand. And it's unfortunate, but they are struggling. They were a lucrative company, had tons of business, lots of clients, and they've become irrelevant because they didn't keep up. So that's what's important. So what my point is with telling you that is, now they have a social following. Now they have, the owner has a LinkedIn profile with several thousand LinkedIn connections. We put out a newsletter for them, and it goes to all of these people. So they've all of a sudden become relevant, because, and it wasn't overnight. It took us 3 years to get them to this point. But if they go to sell that company, would you want to buy a company with no digital presence, or would you want to buy a company that has some influence in the market? You're going to want that. Even some of the biggest companies, you would not believe they have little to no social media marketing. And those are the ones that are becoming irrelevant and dying on the vine. So anyway, we're going to look for traffic sources, and we're going to look for influence. We talked about SEO. That's the holy grail of marketing. We want to amplify everything we do with the search engine optimization formulas. And that's a whole nother webinar, but know about it. Know you need to know about search engine optimization. And then content marketing. Content marketing is just, what am I talking about online? It's social media posts, it's videos that you can put up, it's how-tos, it's downloadable guides, it's all kinds of things to drive people to your brand. And then we have blogs, email, and landing pages. Those are also things you can do to capture a vertical in a market. And so this is the end of the funnel, and it's kind of how we build our brand using digital marketing. So in the beginning, we're creating something called a lead magnet, which is basically just something that someone's giving you their contact information for, opting into your email marketing and getting something of value in return. That is a lead magnet. I have hundreds of lead magnets in my arsenal. I have all kinds of how-to guides and all kinds of instructions, or my little book that I made. These are things that people want. People want this stuff, and so they're going to give me their contact information for it, and that's going to give me the opportunity to remarket to them. We want to use social media to amplify our messaging. We want to use things like a training video or a case study or testimonials, things that show social proof to those people who fell into your world through that lead magnet. And then we're going to take them to a conversion event, which is basically the opportunity for you to sell something to them. You finally got them into your trusting world of communication. You finally able to have them amplify and talk about your brand, and you do more of that too. And then you give them the opportunity to have more personal contact with you through a webinar, through a strategy call, a live event, all of these things that would be monetized. And that's your sales event. So social media marketing is basically just what we've talked about, amplification of messaging. So there's some basics to social media that not everybody knows. Some of you on this webinar are probably going to know things about Facebook business pages and things about LinkedIn, but a lot of people are still struggling with, where do I get started? And so I wanted to give you a baseline for Facebook. So Facebook is the behemoth of marketing, the behemoth of social media, has the most followers on their platform of any social platform on the planet. So we want to have a Facebook page, at least for our business. But in order to have a Facebook page for your business, you have to have a personal Facebook page. So once you have a personal Facebook page, they want to associate that business with a person. So we have to have a Facebook personal page. And you can once you have the Facebook personal page, you can put privacy things on the page. Like you can choose who can see your posts, you can choose who can see your pictures, you can pretty much hide your personal Facebook page if you want to do that, but you still have to have one to have a business page. So I have a personal page, and I make sure it stays nice and simple and uncontroversial, and it talks about who I am as a person and gives people an idea of who I am. That's my personal branding page right there. So that's my Facebook page. And then I have a Facebook business page. This is what you have to have as a business. So once you open a Facebook personal page, you can open a business page. And it takes a lot of walking through the steps. So you're just going to walk through all the steps, and you're going to see this thing called Meta Business Suite. And I'm going to say, try to stay away from Meta as long as possible, because that's usually for someone that has multiple businesses or is managing multiple social media accounts. I have Meta, and it's still so confusing. I've used Facebook since it was its inception, and I've used their business tool since its inception, and I still get lost. So I'm just saying, if you have one business and you just have a professional business page, just stay away from Meta if you don't need to go there. Meta does give you some other options, like it has a way for you to post social posts with a calendar and all this other stuff, connect it to your Instagram and connect it to your WhatsApp. There's lots of benefits to using the Meta Business Suite, but learn it first and then maybe dive into the Business Suite. Facebook has a lot of self-help stuff. You just have to find the help. So there's going to be I don't see it here. There's going to be a way for you to get help and look at tutorials and things that you would need to do to set up your business page. But once you do, you can flip back and forth between your personal and your business account. I unfortunately have like 40 businesses that I also have access to through Meta. So I have constantly people talking to me. That's why, if somebody really wants to talk to me, they're going to have to get me on a text message, because there's no way I'm going to see you through all of the messaging that comes through the Facebook pages that I work. So anyway, setting up a business page is required. And there is a rule on Facebook: you cannot set up a personal page and make it a business page. So if you set a personal page up and you start selling on it, or you start promoting your business on it, Facebook can take you down. It's a deal breaker for them. They want personal profiles to be about personal relationships. I had a nonprofit that accidentally started a Facebook page as a personal page, and they got taken down. And they had several thousand people on their Facebook page, and it took an act of Congress to get them to reinstate their Facebook page. It was horrifying. So be very careful. Make sure you follow the rules. They're here on the platforms. You just have to find the information. So social media advertising, there's some stuff you need to know. As soon as you start a Facebook business page, just like those people that are going to call you for your free Google profile and offer to set it up for $250, you're going to get, Facebook is going to start hammering you to do ads. And you need to know how to do them. before you do them. But there's some things you need to know about social media advertising before you even start it. The one big thing that nobody realizes when they have a Facebook business page is that only a small percentage of people, like say I have 1,500 followers on my page, and about 2% are going to see any of the messages that I put out. So all this great time I'm spending, all this work I'm doing, properly targeting my branding and my messaging and all this stuff. I'm gonna put up all these posts on Facebook and no one's gonna see them. And they're not gonna see them because Facebook wants you to monetize everything. And that's why you have to have a business profile in order to monetize advertising. That's the catch. That's the hook. That's how they get you. And let me tell you something, Facebook owns your contacts. You don't have a direct relationship with any contact on your business page. So you're probably saying, well, why would I even want a Facebook business page? Well, it's a necessary evil, right? Because it's where everybody is. But you have to have redundancy with your data and make sure that those people are opting into your email marketing list, your database, so that if something ever happens to your Facebook account, you retain your contacts. But right now, Facebook's in charge. Facebook's in the driver's seat. They're making all the money and they're giving you the opportunity to advertise on their platform, and it's pretty inexpensive. But there are tons of ways that they can get you to spend money, and that money is not doing you any good. So we'll touch upon that, but just know that there's no 800 number you can call. So if your Facebook page breaks and your followers go away, there's nobody to call. Nobody. There's no customer support on Facebook. If you do ads on Facebook, they'll talk to you about your ad, but that's about it. You can open a ticket, you can talk to their solution people, but it's not a very quick process. It takes days to get something fixed, if it gets fixed at all. So remember, you need to own your contacts. Make your contacts opt into your mailing list. And that was my point. Who owns your social media contacts? It's not you. LinkedIn is the closest to being able to own contacts, because there's actually ways for you to get your contacts out of LinkedIn, but that's another webinar. But I'm just saying that it's very valuable for you to make sure that you're retaining the people that you do business with and that you want to do business with. So gives you the opportunity to drive the bus whenever you want to. So advertising on social platforms and Google can get really expensive, especially if you are a new business trying to get people attracted to your brand. You're looking for brand recognition. So you can spend a lot of money putting ads out there and not getting a lot in return. And that's because of what we talked about in the very beginning when it comes to being intentional with your messaging. If you inaccurately target the people you're talking to with the wrong message, you're wasting your ad dollars. If your ad is not relevant to the people you're showing it to, you're wasting your ad dollars. With Google, they want you to start out at like $1,500 a month just to get something in return with doing Google ads. So having a sufficient budget is a definite consideration for a new business. And then a poor ad design. If your ad doesn't have a call to action, if your ad doesn't follow the Facebook rules, if your ad has a crummy picture, there's tons of reasons why your ad could have a poor ad design. So we want to just make sure that when we put up an ad, it is stellar. It represents you, it has your branding on it, you're hashtagging, you're doing all the things that you're supposed to do to get the most bang for your buck on advertising. And so with my clients, I have a number of clients that spend over $10,000 a month on Google Ads. And they're in a very competitive industry, very competitive. So there may be people, they've got 4 or 5 competitors with equivalent budgets, and they're fighting for the same keywords, right? You look up the keyword, where can I find a used car in Houston? Well, every used car dealer in Houston is going to have some Google AdWords with used car dealer, and you're competing with them. So you have to differentiate yourself. And the one way that I work for my clients and kind of fly under the radar with Google is I do search engine optimization and make them show up in organic search results. So we do that by putting out a ton of content on their website, using keywords that we know that their customers are looking for, or their prospects. And then we get put into the search results. We come up and higher in the search results, and we're not even paying those ads at the top. They're paying a ton of money to get those 4 spaces at the top of the page. And then there's more people at the bottom of the page who are paying for ads. So those people in the middle, that's the sweet spot on Google. So you're going to want to read about search engine optimization and how it works. You also want to know how to get your company to show up in local search rather than national if you're a local only company, or you have a brick and mortar in Houston, or you don't have a national audience. I personally can have a national audience. I have a customer in Dubai, but I do better with my clients here in the Houston area. But I have to consider these things when I put ads out. Like, who's going to see my ad? Do I want somebody in Milwaukee to call me, or do I want somebody in Spring to call me? That's my consideration. And having Google Ads and knowing how Google works and knowing how the algorithms work, it is a college course unto itself. So this is something that you're going to think about later on down the line, after you've got everything else pulled together and you've got your Google business listing up and you've got some reviews in it. Then you can start putting up some content, keyword-driven content that Google might show people because it's such good content. So this is the last slide where I actually talk about something. I'm going to come back to Q&A here in just a second. I just want to show you the last few slides because I have some information on them. So this is my workbook. If you signed up for this webinar, I will send you an email and you can have access to the workbook if you want to have access to it. And then this is my connection information. So if you scan this QR code, it shows you how to connect with me on my website and all my social media channels. So, so that's handy, having a QR code. A lot of people are putting QR codes on their business cards. That's another really great way to have a quick way to get somebody's contact information. So I'm going to stop sharing. And I'm going to look at questions. Does anybody have a question?
Yeah, we have some good ones.
Okay, great. Ask away.
Well, Tanopi, I hope I pronounced your name correctly. One of the greatest challenges for a startup is the social media space, is the cost of various subscriptions for software, acquiring or engaging expertise. Many social media marketers you try to contact charge an arm and a leg and may not actually deliver value. How does one overcome this challenge?
I'm not trying to be salesy here, but I'm just saying that is why I went into business, is because my why is small business owners. I have seen them struggle and go through the same thing that you're going through. My one piece of advice that I could give you is to subscribe to Constant Contact. It's a platform that grows with your business, so it scales with your business. You start out at a small amount. It's not free, but it's not expensive. If you have a business and you can't afford $10 to $50 a month on your infrastructure, then you should probably rethink some things. But this software it's social media management, it's all the articles and tutorials, and there's nothing you can't learn on that platform. And it never gets, and it's never going to be like, there was a software called HubSpot when I first started social media marketing. And it was really expensive. And they were giving away a lot of free information. So I got into their sales funnel, into their sales funnel. And they were like, yeah, well, our software to do marketing is $800 a month. And then after time, they were like, nobody's buying that $800 a month. We're just going to give it away for free. So you load all your contacts up into their software. And then when you want to really do something, they're like, okay, now it's $800 a month. So be careful. I have vetted this software for you. It is easy to use. It gives you training. There are what's called solution providers. Everybody that works for me on my team has been through solution provider school, because I want them to know and understand what they're doing. Using the software and making sure they're optimizing it for their business. They have email automation, they have landing pages, they have there's just nothing you can't do with that software. I've heard of other softwares, but and I've used other things. I know companies like Salesforce is another one, super expensive. So that's my answer, is to find that one platform like Constant Contact and stick with it and learn as much as you can inside of that platform. And it will be a benefit to you. And they have an 800 number you can call. So if you have a problem with something, you can call and talk to a live person for free whenever you need help. So that's my advice to you for that.
Some great advice. In fact, Suzette, I was just talking to Constant Contact yesterday, and for my business, I just recently signed up myself. And what's quite interesting is they've explained exactly what you've just explained, and the cost was really quite minimal. I think it starts at $35, but as a new Constant Contact member, they offered me a deal of, I think it's $28, but the first month was free, and the second month is billed at $28. So I'm looking forward to seeing what the session I have coming up with Constant Contact next week.
And you're not locked into a contract. It's month to month.
Correct.
If you decide you want to cancel your subscription, you download all your leads and your contacts into a spreadsheet and you move on. That's
Yes,
it. You don't own anything.
That's right. That's the beauty of it, right? Is I'm not tied down to Constant Contact. I can download those leads. But that's what is the most important thing I think you've just shared about Constant Contact is I'm not locked in, and I can download all that information before I leave using them. Excellent. Our next question. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just looking in the chat, but you can go ahead and tell me the next question.
All right. The next question is also from Tanopi. For a startup, if one wants to do all that is taught here, this is a great question. All right. If someone wants to do all that's taught here, isn't it time consuming? Will it not distract from the main business itself?
You have to accept that it's part of your business. If you don't do it and you don't hire someone to do it, you're not going to stay in business. So whether it's an hour a week, 2 hours a week, I would say you could be effectively marketing with 4 to 5 hours a week. And with the automation tools they have in place, there's, once you get stuff set up, it stays set up until you change it. So if I have an opt-in on my website, it's going to stay working, right? People are going to go from my website to my contacts, and they do. I have created lead funnels using Constant Contact. I work with some doctors' offices, and they have people who are doing a certain kind of therapy, and they have a questionnaire that they fill out. And then in that questionnaire, it says, do you want more information? Do you want us to call you? And I would say 4 out of 5 people that get that survey filled out want to use the product, or they wouldn't have filled it out. So it takes away a lot of your time of having to source, spend time spinning your wheels. You're getting pre-qualified leads. You just have to have someone show you how to do it. And I do, SCORE can say, do another webinar, Suzette, and y'all can tell me, what do you want to learn, and I'll help you learn it. That's I believe in giving to grow. My mentor taught me give to grow, and it has paid me untold benefits. I will never stop sharing what I know. I will never stop helping small business owners, because you are the backbone of our country. You are the backbone of our families. You have to succeed. And so that is, use SCORE. SCORE is free mentors. They'll show you how to do bookkeeping. They'll show you how to do marketing. They'll show you. There are so many resources with SCORE. It's mind-blowing. And I never knew about them until I started speaking for them. So it's the biggest, best thing you can do for your business is get a mentor. Get someone that's in that business, who's done that business, who can do what you want to do. Learn about it. If you think it's over your head or it's going to take too much time, you're going to have to hire someone to do it. But you have to market your business. Doesn't matter what else you do. If you don't market yourself, you're not in business. That's it, period.
Amen to that. The one thing that I would add to that, Suzette, and I tell all of the clients that I mentor, right, is, okay, number one, you're an entrepreneur. Congratulations. Now, also remember the following jobs that you now take on. You're the CEO. You're the CFO. You're the CXO. You're the CIO. Shall I go on?
Mm-hmm.
You will wear these hats interchangeably throughout the day, the weeks, the months ahead. But the thing that's most important, right, to your point, there's some great SCORE mentors, over 150 here in the largest chapter in Houston, right? And I have met some absolutely brilliant people, right? Mind-blowing, absolutely mind-blowing. And they are so open to share their knowledge in every specific industry that you can imagine. I'm working with a client, and I may not have that specific expertise in that area, but I know of a mentor who does. And I spoke to him last night, and we're now going to co-mentor in the next session with that client. But in answer to the question, right, is yes, it's time consuming. And both Suzette and I can tell you that this is true. But there's a bit of advice that I learned from someone in another session. And that was 2 hours working on the business, right? You've got to put on the CEO, the CFO, the CXO, the CIO hat. And then you need to put another 2 hours into the business. And that's where you're on the phone, you're doing, your reach out, you're networking, you're working with your clients, and you need to make sure that you put time within your diary to make sure that all of that can happen, right? But once you become an entrepreneur, yeah, it's work, right? Suzanne and I can both attest to that. It's work. But you know what? At the end of the day, what you create and the value you give back to your community and what you create for your family, it's just unmeasurable. It's fantastic. Let's see, we have another question in the chat. How to make a Facebook account a business account?
Can't do it, unfortunately.
You have to have both, right?
Yeah, you have to start a business page and then just message everybody on your personal page that you have. I mean, I don't know how many followers you have, but you have to have a business page. So just get it started and try real hard to just let people know that you have a business page now, because you can't advertise from a personal page. You don't have any analytics from a personal page. You can create events, but you can't promote anything on a personal page. So definitely got to have a business page if you're going to do any kind of advertising or selling or anything like that. But just, make people know and get it started. It's kind of a drag, but it's something that we have to do.
With
separate.
Yelp, right, Suzette? Yelp is really for rather specific businesses, right? Whether it's like for my business in HR consulting, Yelp doesn't really add any value to my business, right? If I owned a restaurant, if I owned a hotel, if I did contracting work or subcontracting work or trucking or something like that, maybe Yelp may be of value. What do you think?
Nothing matters more than Google.
Right.
That's my final answer. There are other companies out there who tried to get a foothold in creating a rating system for how good your products and services are and why people should use you and things like that. As soon as you sign up for some of these companies, they're out to get you for advertising. Mm-hmm. And I do know that one specific platform charges $300 a month to have a professional account. So that's a big decision. But what I'm saying is do everything you can to get on Google, because that's where all the searches happen. I'm not here to say Yelp is good or Yelp is bad, and it does depend on what kind of business you are, where people are going to find you. But there's so many apps out there now. The attention is in 10,000 different places. But if you're on a search engine, that's where people are going to find you. That's where people are going to find me. So anybody that comes to me randomly found me on Google.
Thank you. Well, as we come to the close of this, Suzette, please accept our thanks on behalf of SCORE Houston for this fantastic presentation. I've just put in chat for everybody a link to the SCORE local workshops page coming up on the 21st of November. It's how to transition from a W-2 employee to being an employer. I highly recommend this course, right? I'm talking with a client now she's still employed. All right, she's working a 9 to 5, but she's doing all of her preparation work, right? To get all of her ducks in a row. So she's learning, should I be an LLC? Should be an S Corp? Should be a corporation? And she's doing all of her research. So it's great, a great webinar. Starting and running your own business. This is session 3 that comes up on November 29th. How to create a marketing plan for your small business is on November 30th. And how to write a 1-page business plan, step-by-step guide comes up on December 6th. And to what Suzette pointed out in her presentation, it's always good to start with a cash flow projection for 12 months, a marketing plan, right? And that business plan. And remember, a business plan once completed doesn't just go up on the shelf. We have to constantly review, right? We have to constantly adjust and do little tweaks because that is our business. And that's how we're going to approach business. It tells us what our strengths, our opportunities, our threats, and it's important work to do, folks. But yeah, you're an entrepreneur. So this work is critical for you to be successful. And Suzette and SCORE and myself as a mentor, we're all here to try and help you to be successful. We want you to hit a home run. We want you to get it over the goal line. We just want you to be a success. I want to thank Suzette again for the wonderful presentation. I will be sending this recording presentation out to everybody who I have an email for. And we wish you all a very wonderful finish to your week, fantastic weekend, but most of all, a very happy Thanksgiving. Be grateful for all the blessings that you have.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. I'm going to save this chat so I don't lose it.
Take care.
Okay. Thank you. Bye, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving.